Yeah, okay.
Address. Hello,
Okay.
people, family. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I am having a conversation with my lovely friend Eve. Eve was my classmate in college. And if you saw my other videos, I came to Switzerland at 21 as a student at a hospitality management school. Loved it, made great connections, made great friends. I don't work in hospitality anymore. And a few people asked me, why would you do something that then you don't end up working in the field? For me, it was more circumstances that forced me to change my career. I would have loved to be in hospitality, but I became a mother and I had to kind of have a job which was more 9 to 5. I still use a lot of my hospitality credentials and I still use a lot of the things that I learned in the hospitality school. So I totally don't take anything away from the fact that it was a great experience. But there are people who consciously chose to leave the field and do something else. And yeah, so that's the reason why Eve is here. So, hi, Eve.
Hello. Hi, everyone. It's very nice to be here with you and Mercy. Thanks for inviting me.
So Eve currently lives in the UK, and we are going to start a little bit by where are you originally from?
Mhm. So I was born and raised in Saigon, which is, Ho Chi Minh City, by the name that most of the people know. But for us, Saigonese, we still refer to it as Saigon. So I was born and raised in Saigon, Vietnam, and yeah, I grew up there until I decided to study in Switzerland and, in the same school with Mercy. Yeah.
Yeah. How old were you when you moved from Saigon to Switzerland?
I was 19, I think. Yeah, so that was my first trip, outside the country and live way far away from the family. It was quite a great experience. I learned a lot of things and met a lot of people, that I'm still in contact with up until today.
What did you decide? Was hospitality your first choice, or was it circumstances that made you choose to study hospitality?
I think it's a combination of various factors. The fact that yeah, I would like to go to Switzerland, and it's so famous for hotel management and schools and courses. It's also because I think being able to uh, maybe the possibility of running your own hotel someday, or working in a fascinating hotel where people are dressing up properly, and making things happen perfectly, seamless uniforms, and all of that quite intrigued me. I think for an 18 or 19 years old, and or for probably most of us, to ask us like what we want to do, or what we know exactly we would be doing, it's quite a far-fetched, and you don't really, you can't never be 100% sure. But I think, like what you mentioned, Mercy, hotel management school gave us so much of the basic fundamental foundations right, in order for us to be able to tap into any industry that we wish to join later. Yeah.
And then after school, what did you do?
So
After
after
you
I
finished in
graduated,
Switzerland? Yeah.
yeah, I came back to Vietnam, and I got my first role very fast after graduation as sales manager for sales executive, and then sales manager for the Sheraton Saigon Hotel and Towers, which is one of the best hotels back then in Saigon. So I was very fortunate, to start my career right away in hotel industry. And while doing sales, I picked up, a lot of invaluable lessons, that you can only obtain it, through training on the job, and experiences from the job, and the colleagues, from the customers, the clients, etc. So it was a wonderful experience. Yeah. Yeah.
And now you are in the UK.
Yeah, so I'm based in London now, and I'm
Okay.
doing a completely different job.
So let's talk about what led you to that one.
Currently, I'm doing process improvement, so continuous improvement, working as continuous improvement manager. Um, my area of process improvement is in project management for BAT, which is a company belonging to the FMCG consumer goods. So it's quite different from what I have, graduated from or I have studied. Yeah.
So here we are. We're the big sisters, and we need to talk to our small sisters who are only just finishing high school now in Vietnam or in Kenya, and they're thinking about, well, maybe they're doing a course that they don't really like, or they're not sure what they're doing, and they're thinking, maybe I should just do this to keep myself busy. Would you, because I think from my experience, I would tell someone, go for it, study something that is broad, and then specialize. What would you tell someone? Do you feel like it was a waste of time to study the hospitality, which was very broad, and then you ended up in marketing? Do you feel like it was a waste, or would you encourage somebody to do if they have the
Um,
opportunity?
Okay, so I think it's never a waste, when you decided to do something at the beginning, because back then, of course, we only know what we know, and we don't really know what we don't know until we realize that we don't know, certain factors. But I think in order for us to come to a decision to study either, hotel management, or business administration in general, or study IT, for example, it always provide you with the fundamental skills, fundamental skill set, the basic attributes, in order for you to later on maybe decide, okay, whether you want to streamline it to a more let's say a more focused courses. But I would say that it never wastes of time. You will always learn something, and only when you decide to take the next step would you be able to know whether it suits you or not, or whether your passion still lay there. If you just looking at from afar, how would we ever be able to know? So I think we need to take that step. We need to get our hands down dirty.
Totally agree with you on that one. We really can't judge from, just from standing from backwards and saying, okay, let me wait until I know the perfect thing before I do it.
Yeah,
That never works. You have to
yeah,
learn by making
yeah,
trial and error.
yeah. I think a
Sometimes
lot of
it's,
yeah, I think a lot of our sisters these days are taking their gap year, which is really cool, because you can actually travel the world, maybe taking like a side job to keep funding yourself, and see for yourself whether you wanted to which direction you want to go. But let's say in that 1 year time afterwards, you still don't know what you wanted to do yet. It's very important to remember that we have very, let's say, limited youth time. So as soon as you get on board with the train, you are moving along somewhere. So I think the message is, just do some, let's say, self-assessment. And there's a lot of online materials for that. So it's probably ideally would be a combination, for your next step, a combination of, whether that job is able to guarantee you are, sorry, whether the course or the field that you want to study would be able to, help you to get a good job, so that, you can get you can get a job right away, because I think we can't deny the financial part of what we need to do in order to support ourselves. And then whether we have the ability, the skill set, or the capability to tap into that area, or that industry. And then the third one would be whether you have that interest, or let's say your um, your curiosity to explore it. But I think just don't wait for the perfect combination, because you could never get anything perfect in life. So as long as, let's say, you find something that is in the medium part of what you want to do, what you are good at, and what the work out there is needed, I think you can confidently go toward that direction, and then you make your adjustment along the way. And by the way, I think regardless of whichever industry or field that you would like to study, I think the people skill is always so important, because once you make the connection, you make friends, and you are able to connect with people, you would understand yourself more, and you would be able to, let's say, get introduction or support, to jump ship into any industry that you want. Yeah.
Perfectly said. I mean, there's um, the one thing that I totally loved about my opportunity to be, especially because, we went to a school which was like a boarding school, so we lived there. And the one thing that I totally appreciated was how we got to learn about other cultures, because just like you say, it was your first time out of Vietnam. It was also my first time out of Kenya. And it was so interesting that I learned so much about other cultures. I learned so much about Asians. I learned so much about,
Absolutely.
Caucasians. It was so interesting that even now, when people talk
Mhm.
about racism and things like that, I'm able to differentiate between cultural differences and racism. Do you feel the
Yeah,
same?
that is such an important statement that you make. Yeah, the cultural differentiation, difference, and the racism. Because I think, let's say, for example, we only use English, but because of our fundamental, let's say, native language, we are expressing ourselves in English in such a different way. And then we also perceive what is told or written to us in English in our own native language. So there's a lot of, let's say, miscommunication that can potentially happen, or sometimes things are meant to be a joke in certain culture can become really offensive. So I agree with you. We can't just label everything racism, and put on the racist card whenever we see something that different from our opinion, from our view, or let's say the idea of equality that we are perceiving in our head. So I think it's so important that we met in Switzerland in an international environment, so that we can get used to, or have time to build that kind of personal connection. And once it get personal, you don't look at it the same through the same lens that you normally look when you read on newspaper and think about all the culture like far away objects. And you think about it as, oh yes, Kenya, I have a friend there. I know it's different because this is my own personal experience. Yeah, so I agree with you. And with this whole gap year concept that the young generation these days tend to take, I think it helps you to do that. If anything, it helps you to broaden your mind, go to different places, start seeing things that you can't see on somebody else's Instagram or or Facebook, you know, and make your own judgment. Yeah.
Another thing that I really love about you is how much you travel. So Eve loves to travel. I live vicariously through her because she does all the traveling that I don't do. And I think before COVID, I used to check every weekend on Facebook and go like, okay, where are we this week? She's also a very good fan of good food. She's very particular about food. So when she comes to my house, she gets very not amused by all the not very good food that
and
I
when
cook.
it
So
comes
she
to
does the cooking.
when it comes to food, I think we all have our hotel management school time to thank too, because even though we don't cook to that standard, we don't do a dining experience as per what we were taught in school, but we still can appreciate and differentiate between what is a proper setup for dining.
Oh, it's true. I cannot
yeah.
I cannot drink bad wine. I really, really can't. I sometimes you go visit someone and they offer you wine and I'm like, I'm sorry, I just can't. I'll take water. So there are things, yeah, there are things that once you get used to, you cannot change. So
Yes,
what is it
yes.
with you and traveling? Why do you love to travel so much?
Uh, well, I think if we all can give that convenience and conditions, we would all love to travel. Um, and I think I'm very lucky in the sense that I still don't have my own family yet. I'm still single, so I have all the time and all the, let's say, the resource to do it. So I said to myself, okay, why don't you do it? Because later on you would be sitting down in a one place and able to feel like, okay, I have done that, I have seen the world, I have shared those experiences with the people that I came to meet across. So I think it's really really fun. And if you let's say for some reason you still have a lot of like engagement that keep you from traveling often, I would totally encourage you to maybe just try to pin down a time where you may be able to, let's say, travel with your family, or do a short trip, but regardless, let's travel. And especially after COVID, I think we all appreciate the freedom of being able to,
Oh yeah,
go home to see our family.
I
And we
totally miss. I miss even people that I never liked because I just, the idea that I cannot see them is so.
it's so painful.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really painful. There are people who I never wanted to see, but now I just want to see them. It's really sad.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's COVID. It's messed up
Yeah.
everything for us, but well, I mean, we in
Yeah.
public health, we are okay.
Yeah, and I think talking about COVID, it also changed the way we think about choosing our job or choosing a career as well. Because previously, if the requirements, or let's say the critical conditions that determine how you want to choose a job or a career is based on ABC. Now it might become DEF. It might be because of COVID that we choose to be closer to our family, or we certainly realize that maybe we don't want to climb those corporate ladder, and we want to do something that has more meaning, more impact. Or let's say we used to be scared to choose something else, and then after COVID we just realized that we have only this one choice, so to hell with it. We just let's do it.
Well, I mean, for me, COVID changed so COVID changed so much about me. The first thing that I decided during COVID was I have to have an apartment which has a balcony. So right now I'm on my balcony, I'm enjoying it. It's the small things. Because
Wow.
I'm working
Yes.
from home, so I'm like, I can't be
Yeah.
sitting on the desk the whole day. I need to, sometimes I need the fresh air. When the weather is good, like now, today, the whole day I'm working at the balcony. I'm sitting at the balcony and working from there. And it's really, it's the small things. COVID really did change things. Anyway, thank you so much, Eve. Do you have
Thank you so
any
much for having me,
final
Mercy, and
words you want to say?
enjoy, ladies, enjoy Mercy, enjoy life.
Thank
See
you,
you.
girl. Bye
Thank
bye.